Right now on 5 on your side at 10.
A parking scrimmage leaving Battlehawk fans crowing.
And once we got in, we were told we were going to be ticketed and towed.
The Audible by St. Louis Police. That's a win for fans and a downtown church.
High temperatures today work their way into the mid-80s, near 90 degrees in some parts of the state. But tomorrow, way different. How things change and if we're going to expect any rain as that cold front passes.
Our top story, a carjacking attempt thwarted. The ignition failure stopping 2 juveniles in their tracks. Evening, I'm Mike Bush. Tonight, St. Louis police are looking for 2 others wanted in that crime. It's the latest in a rash of carjackings across the city. New at 10, Annie Kroll is hearing from community members calling for action.
Mike, a woman was approached and threatened last night in the LaSalle Park neighborhood by 4 young men. One of them was armed. On the 1700 block of South Tucker Boulevard Saturday night, a 48-year-old woman got out of her car and was confronted by a young man with a rifle. He and 3 other juveniles, police say, wanted her car keys, so she handed them over. But the young men couldn't start the car and ran away.
Parents and adults need to really look into these video games because they are glorifying crime. They're glorifying carjackings, robbing, and they use the same vehicles and don't put the name of the vehicle, but the vehicle looks just like the vehicles that we drive. So it's really horrible, along with social media, but video games.
Precious Jones, founder of Breaking Generational Poverty, said Saturday night's armed robbery was likely terrifying. A police pursuit on foot ended in 2 of the suspects being taken into custody, one still with the woman's keys on him. Neighbors didn't want to go on camera, but said it's the first time they've seen anything like it near Lafayette.
It's scary for adults because, again, it's property, but it's our lives that's being, at stake. So we have to think really, really quickly. And I don't think any adult wants to harm a kid, but you're scared when you have guns pointed in your face and you don't know what these kids are going to do.
Last weekend, St. Louis Metro Police arrested 1 teen and are still searching for 2 others wanted for a 2-state carjacking spree. One of those brazen crimes was caught on camera when a man was forced from his car at gunpoint outside a daycare. Jones says these crimes impact more than just the victims.
Now you have a mom and a dad or grandparents, whomever's raising the kid. You have them having to deal with legal fees and seeing, okay, what are we going to do now, and not knowing what's coming ahead. And so it is very impactful and it hurts everybody that's involved.
Police say yesterday's robbery is still under investigation as they continue to look for 2 other suspects. A Safer Summer Streets presentation will be hosted by Breaking Generational Poverty on April 22nd in Jefferson City to inspire more plans regarding teen crimes.
Within the last 45 minutes, we learned new details about a deadly shooting in Normandy. A 27-year-old woman was shot before 6 this morning on Brand Avenue near Bermuda Drive. A 24-year-old woman from Bell Ridge was taken into custody. The victim's name or a motive have not yet been released. Turning now to our weather impact forecast. A mild night in St. Louis after a warm and windy day. Meteorologist Gary Frank is tracking a cooler breeze to start the work week.
Yeah, we're already looking at the back edge of this cold front, which will not be impacting these plants in terms of a frost or freeze tonight, so we're away from that. But it will be a little cooler. It's obviously not going to be in the 80s again tomorrow, but we're really not far from that right now. There are a few clouds outside, which will act as an insulator, but you'll notice they're still moving from the west. That means we're not seeing that northwesterly flow, and as a result, look at our temperatures. They're in the low 70s locally, 70 in Alton, 73 in Lake St. Louis, 69 in O'Fallon. So overall, you wouldn't expect to see it this warm at 10:04. Maybe in a couple of months, but not right now. And that's just indicative of that warmer air mass that remains in place with wind gusts still close to 30 miles an hour in Mount Vernon. Otherwise, the wind has settled down and we'll start to see that switch, but it's still out of the west-southwest. And as it is, you're not going to see much of a change the next several hours. We'll see a few more clouds, but by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, we're in the low 60s. And I don't think it warms up all that much in the afternoon in comparison to the lows, but still, it will be pleasant. Now, I'm looking at our main weather impact this week is the fact that we will see a cold front arrive overnight, and that's going to allow us to cool down and shift our wind tomorrow, and that's why we're not going to warm up all that much. I am tracking for some rain next weekend for the holiday weekend. Showers hit and miss. We'll talk about the specifics on what it looks like even 7 days out and what the rest of the week looks like as well.
We're just 2 days away from a new era in St. Louis City politics. Mayor-elect Kara Spencer will be sworn in as the city's 48th mayor on Tuesday. It comes just 1 week after her decisive win over Mayor Tashara Sarah Jones. The swearing in will begin Tuesday at noon in the City Hall Rotunda. Donna Behringer will also be sworn in as the city comptroller. She defeated Darlene Green on Tuesday. Green has held that office for 30 years. Well, it was a busy Sunday in St. Louis, a sports Sunday, and it's coming to a close. The Cardinals, Battlehawks, and City SC were all in action, drawing thousands of fans to downtown. A parking mix-up left some Battlehawks fans with a battle of their own before today's game. It happened as they tried to park in their favorite lot across from the Dome. New at 10, 5 on your side's Laura Barczewski is hearing from those frustrated fans.
Battlehawks fans who park at Grace Baptist Church were expecting to pull right into their tailgate spots, but instead were greeted by a roadblock.
We were told we couldn't go through there, that we had to go around. And then she proceeded to tell us that everybody here was going to get ticketed. And then once we got in, we were told we were going to be ticketed and towed if we did not move.
Fans say they were told the fine would be for parking on Dome property, even though they say they're on the church's property. They assume these people delivering this message were associated with the Dome, but say they never identified what organization they were with.
So then we talked to St. Louis police, and they said, no, we won't ticket you and we won't tow you away. But then St. Louis sheriff came and said, yes, we will, and you will get towed.
This all got the attention of the pastor, Reverend Jonathan Davis, who says they've been doing this since the Battlehawks existed and have never had this problem before. Davis was even told at one point he might get a citation for his roof that needs to be replaced.
I'd like to commend the St. Louis Police Department for the sergeant. I don't want to give his name, but I know he was a godsend because he overlooked the whole situation and he saw exactly what was going on, and he told his other officers, you know, we're not going to do this.
So no one ended up getting towed or ticketed, but Davis says they thought they had all the right permits and always do their best to comply, but now have to go back through everything as they plan to still provide parking. He says it's a major source of revenue for the church and wants to continue to be part of this important Battlehawks community.
We need joy in the city. We need people to come and experience St. Louis, you know, with favor and with gladness and with warm hospitality.
Reporting in St. Louis, Laura Barczewski, 5 on your side.
To operate a parking lot or garage business, the city requires a graduated business license, statement of clearance, comptroller's office registration, and occupancy permit. We reached out to city officials and the Dome, and we've not yet heard back. Big news tonight for St. Louis football fans. During today's game, the United Football League announced that the Dome at America Center will host the league's championship game for the second year in a row. 27,000 fans showed up last season to watch the Birmingham Stallions shut out the San Antonio Brahmas. The 2025 championship game will take place June 14th. The Battlehawks normally draw double the home crowds of other UFL teams. The St. Louis Blues now control their own destiny. They must now win their final game Tuesday night in front of a home crowd to clinch a playoff spot. They would have clinched tonight if the San Jose Sharks beat the Calgary Flames in regulation, but the Flames won. So the Note has now dropped 3 straight since their record 12-game winning streak. Their final game is Tuesday night at Enterprise against Utah. The puck drops at 7.
An inspiring young Blues fan getting an assist from his favorite team.
We're thinking of you. Keep fighting.
The team effort led by a 3rd grader hoping to score awareness and compassion about the rare condition he's battled since birth.
Some of our wind gusts today, close to 40 miles an hour. And yes, it helped us warm up nicely, but we're going to see that wind switch from a different direction. How it feels for Monday and when we're going to see a day that's even warmer than the one we had today.
Making a Difference is sponsored by Midwest Bank Center.
This coming Saturday, Enterprise Center will light up in pink, yellow, and blue for a rare birth defect many have never heard of. But one 9-year-old survivor isn't waiting until then. In tonight's Making a Difference report, the young Blues fan turning his battle into a mission to help kids through the power of books.
Yesterday, we reviewed pictographs. Today, we're going to be looking at bar graphs.
In the Library of Life's Challenges, a 9-year-old at Reed Elementary in Ladue has already filled volumes with courage.
Miles, your group, go ahead.
Hundreds of books are being collected here
for some special children.
We are giving away books. All the classes in 3rd grade can help, and we're giving it to the hospital and all the kids who are in the hospital.
3rd grader Albert Martin is the heart behind this drive.
All right, Sevy, your table group, go ahead.
And today he has some help from a big blue friend.
As long as you got a selfie in there.
Louie, the mascot of the St. Louis Blues.
It was exciting.
And for Albert, this book drive is deeply personal.
When I was born, I was in the hospital for 8 months.
Albert was born with something called CDH, congenital diaphragmatic hernia.
It's when there is a hole in the diaphragm, which allows your organs to grow up into your lung cavity, thus making it very difficult for your lungs to grow.
It's a birth defect, as common as cystic fibrosis or spina bifida, yet far less known.
CDH babies are given about a 50% chance of survival right at diagnosis. And then some babies, such as Albert, may have other medical complexities that make that chance even lower.
Albert spent his first 8 months fighting for his life in the NICU. 10 surgeries later, he beat the odds.
Albert, your turn.
Today, Albert still faces challenges.
One boo.
He receives nutrition through a feeding tube.
I can go there.
But you'd never know it watching him play with his sister Libby.
I don't know. I'm like a cheerleader. I just help him be strong and stuff.
Albert, ready? Here's the feed. Go to the net.
Between board games at home and classroom books at school, Albert has found another passion, the St. Louis Blues.
There you go.
And the Blues have become more than just Albert's favorite team. They've become part of his healing journey.
Scored!
When Albert needed treatment at Johns Hopkins Hospital, some Blues stars sent special messages of encouragement.
I just want to say we're thinking of you. Keep fighting. Whenever you're done your treatment, we'd love to have you down to the game. Come down to the locker room, meet all the boys, and be a part of it all.
And did they see you in the locker room?
Yeah.
Are thunderstorms dangerous? They are very much so.
Now, the boy who once found escape in books is building bridges for others trapped in hospital rooms.
I think it's a good way to raise awareness for CDH because not much people know about it.
The 3rd graders have collected over 100 books, aiming for 500. Each one a key to unlock worlds beyond hospital walls. But Albert's family hopes the books open another door as well, to greater awareness of CDH.
Driving awareness has a direct correlation to driving donations, which then leads to better research.
For a boy who spent his first chapters fighting to survive, Albert has written a beautiful sequel. One where blues hockey and books team up to help other children find their own happy endings.
And we're very grateful.
If you'd like to learn more about CDH or how you can help, we can link you to their website when you go to this story on KSDK.com. And a reminder, if you know someone making a difference for others, let me know by email at mbush@ksdk.com. Just hours ago, a monumental effort to combat childhood hunger worldwide wrapped up at Queenie Park. Over the last 5 days, hundreds of volunteers with Feed the Need STL packed more than 1.2 million boxes of food. That's enough to feed 3,400 children for an entire year. They also collected donations for Operation Food Search, which will go towards families in Missouri and Illinois. Tonight, the Animal Protective Association in Brentwood is caring for animals displaced by devastating flooding in Kentucky. A team arrived back tonight after assisting the National Guard with pet rescues. Another crew will head south tomorrow to rescue more pets. The shelter is asking for monetary donations and for blankets and towels to help care for the animals. Meteorologist Gary Frank joins us now with the weather impact forecast and that all-important work week forecast. What's it going to look like, Gary?
I think it's pretty quiet precipitation-wise. It's not going to look like this today, where we had temps in the mid-80s, close to 90 degrees. For the first time in a while, we've seen that in the region, pretty consistent basis where it warmed up quite that much. Even as you zoom in locally, you could see some spots like Chesterfield, 86, 87 in Rolla, close to 90 in the capital, and you see that. Now, it was 84 degrees in St. Louis. That was the 6th warmest April 13th on record, so not a record. 89 was the record, but still a pretty warm top 10 day for this time of the year. So it's abnormal abnormally warm as we continue to look for that wind to shift. We had gusts upwards of 30 to 40 miles an hour in some cases, but now they have settled down considerably. You'll see where most of the moisture associated with this is to the north in Michigan as well, but for the most part we have cloud cover and there are a few breaks now. You'll still see that west to east flow. Now off to our northwest, that's where we're going to see more of that colder air, and you can see where those clouds and rain is going to come this way. That may spark a shower later on tomorrow, but overall it's going to be a quiet night. His temps are at 69 right now in Warrenton, 63 in Litchfield, and we've dropped a little bit, but still it's close to 80 at the Lake of the Ozarks at this moment. So, you know, when you look the next few hours, we're not going to drop all that much. We're still on the warm side of this air mass even through tomorrow morning. And while we're going to fall into the low 60s, keep in mind you'll look behind this and it's much colder. That's what we're going to see. Now, in terms of how much colder it is, well, it's not going to drop us a ton. And the fact that it is coinciding with the heating of the day kind of levels things out for us. And we'll show you that where this is. You can see as temperatures fall into the low 60s or upper 50s, depending on where you are Monday morning. Look how we rebound into the upper 60s later in the day. But notice where the wind direction is. And we'll show you that in a minute. But that's the front that's moving through. This is not coming through with much fanfare. There's no moisture really. And, you know, with the northwest breeze at 15 to 20, we'll get up to about 67, but we start out at 62. So really it's a decent balance. There's just a lot of cloud cover as well, and maybe a sprinkle at any point throughout the day. Not a huge concern, but you'll see that wind, and as it shifts by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, it will be noticeable, and it ushers in more dry air as well. I think it levels out and quiets down for a few days. I do want to look ahead to the rest of the week, because while I think there is a rain chance on Thursday, I want to look ahead to next weekend because it's Easter weekend. A lot of people out and about have some outdoor services and things like that. I do think we'll see scattered showers and thunderstorms at times right now, but notice how it doesn't look all that impressive through Saturday. Not everybody gets this rain, and I realize that this is days and days away. However, I'm optimistic that we're not seeing an all-day rain, and there may be a break the first part of the day. 68, 62, and 72. Slight chance for rain Wednesday into Thursday. Most of the week is dry. 86 on Friday, and then the bottom falls out. But once again, we go so high that when we fall out, we're close to normal with scattered showers throughout the extended weekend.
Hello, I'm Paul Cook, your traffic guy on Today in St. Louis, and we are on the move. I want to give you a heads up about some work on Lindbergh in North St. Louis County that's going to last well into the summer. Beginning tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., MoDOT crews will reduce Route 67, better known as Lindbergh, to one northbound lane and one southbound lane, and that could cause some real delays. That'll be from Sunswept Park Drive all the way to Candlewick Club Drive. Why reduce the lanes? Well, it's all about rehabbing the Route 67 bridge over Coldwater Creek. That bridge is about a half a mile east of New Halls Ferry. This work is one of 3 projects that will address the poor infrastructure on Lindbergh between 367 and I-270. Besides that bridge rehab, this project includes resurfacing the road and updating the corridor to meet ADA requirements for pedestrians. We're going to have to be patient. MoDOT says those lane reductions are expected to last through the end of July. Drivers who travel that stretch of road may want to consider an alternate route like Dunn Road if you're going to be going west to get across Lindbergh, or if you are going east, it's Lynn Haven to Old Dunn Road, which then becomes Dunn. And remember, the weather could change those plans, so tune in weekday mornings right here on Today in St. Louis for all the latest traffic news. Stay safe out there. Paul Cook, 5 on your side.
A Wisconsin teen charged in the murders of his parents. The new evidence tonight linking him to a more sinister plot against President Trump. Tonight, a suspected arsonist is behind bars accused of setting fire to the Pennsylvania governor's mansion. Governor Josh Shapiro and his family were asleep inside at the time. The fire was set overnight in the very room where they celebrated their Passover Seder just hours before. No one was hurt. The home was heavily damaged. A shocking turn tonight into the investigation of a Wisconsin teen accused of murdering his mother and stepfather. Federal investigators have linked 17-year-old Nikita Kassup to a plan to assassinate President Donald Trump. They believe he shot and killed his parents back in February to gain the financial means to pull off his plan. People in their small town of Waukesha are in disbelief.
Just mind-blowing.
It was alarming. I mean, it's not really something that you would think happening in such a small town like Waukesha.
Investigators say Kassup made payments for an attack drone and planned to flee to Ukraine following his proposed assassination. Tonight, President Trump says there will not be exemptions to U.S. tariffs on electronics imported from China. On Friday, it was reported smartphones, computers, TVs, and semiconductor chips would not be subject to the 125% tariff. On Truth Social today, he wrote, quote, "Nobody is getting off the hook for unfair trade balances and trade barriers." A recovering Pope Francis made a public appearance for Palm Sunday service at the Vatican. The 88-year-old pontiff was in a wheelchair as he greeted the crowd in St. Peter's Square. Pope Francis recently spent 5 weeks in the hospital for pneumonia in both lungs. And Archbishop Mitchell Rosansky led Palm Sunday Mass this morning at the Cathedral Basilica in the Central West End. Palm Sunday marks the start of Holy Week. It marks the events leading up to the crucifixion, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ on Easter Sunday. It's a marshmallow world in the spring, and we're not talking about Peeps, the new and cheaper alternative to dyeing Easter eggs. Just hours ago, Chicken and Pickle in St. Charles wrapped up the first weekend of its Hop, Hunt, and Brunch. Saturdays feature egg hunts and pickleball clinics for the kids. Easter brunch and bingo are offered on Sundays. There's also pictures with the Easter Bunny, and you can still get tickets for next weekend. Egg prices are coming down, but they could still crack your Easter budget. Now there's a sweet and cheaper alternative. Jet Puffed Marshmallows is selling die kits featuring 6 colors, decorating pens, and a 24-ounce bag of jumbo marshmallows for just $2. They're only available on Walmart's website. And Gary has one final check of the weather.
Yeah, quiet start to the week, but a little cooler. It won't be in the 80s yet. We'll see that on the tail end of the 7-day forecast. A slight chance for a sprinkle tomorrow afternoon, and then Wednesday night into Thursday, some rain. Overall during the day, during the week, it is dry for the most part and warmer on Friday.
And there you have it, 5 on your side at 10. We're always streaming on 5+. Sports Plus with Frank Cusimano is next. And don't forget to start your day with Today in St. Louis beginning at 4 a.m. Have a great week and make it safe.